Hi, and welcome to Jessicat's True Crime. I'm Jessica, and I want to tell you about the Trudy Appleby case. This is a case I have known about since I was about 14 or 15, from growing up in the area. Trudy Appleby was 11 years old when she was last seen in the area of 41st Street and 21st Avenue in Moline near her home, August 21st, 1996, in a gray car. It is believed that Trudy was last seen alive August 21st, 1996, near 500 Homestead Avenue in East Moline on Campbell's Island.
And today marks 26 years since the disappearance of Trudy Appleby. It was 1996 when the then 11-year-old left her Moline home and never returned. And while several leads have come up over the years, the case is still not solved. But as News 8's Jonathan Fong shows us tonight, her loved ones are continuing their fight for answers.
She was not just a name on a flyer.
26 years since her disappearance.
She was not just a statistic or a file number.
She would be 38 years old this year.
She was a real, living, breathing little girl.
Trudy Appleby disappeared from Moline in 1996 when she was 11 years old. Police say she was last seen leaving her house in swimwear, getting into a car with a man. Now, 26 years later, the community is still hopeful for answers and continues to spread awareness of the case. But supporters worry as possible leads are dwindling.
The hope is still there, but it dwindles a little bit because nobody will talk, and people are starting to die, and people that might have the answers, like, are they taking these secrets to the grave with them, or did they really not have anything to say? I don't know.
Her uncle Ray Edelman,
I'm reaching out to you with true compassion.
At Trudy's annual vigil Sunday, making an appeal for answers.
I know you must have resentment towards him for dragging you into this mess, this evil mess. But remember, he was the evil one. He's gone, and he can no longer intimidate you to stay silent.
The vigil also bringing attention to other missing people from the Quad Cities.
David had come home from work, roofing houses, was loving life. And I said, David, you look so happy, just smile for me. And he goes, oh, Mom. And I took this picture, and I loved that picture. I don't love it anymore.
Trudy's uncle understands that heartbreak.
You've lost somebody in a way that you didn't get to say goodbye. And for some of us, we still don't know. Some of us have found our lost one, but some of us haven't.
However, through all the heartbreak, there is still hope. Hope for resolution. In East Moline, Jonathan Fong, WQAD News 8.
Now, in the past several years, police have named 3 people of interest in the investigation. Only one is still alive. Also, News 8 talked with Trudy's father today, who was not at the vigil. He says there's been too much misinformation circulating about what happened. Well, if you know anything about this case, you can report your tip to Crime Stoppers of the Quad Cities on your screen. That's 309-762-9500. You can remain anonymous and may be eligible for a reward.
Trudy Appleby vanished 24 years ago this Friday.
Her family, the Quad Cities community, and police spent years searching for answers. Now, investigators indicate there's new momentum in the case. We have team coverage about this for you tonight. They identified 2 men, each named a person of interest, David Whipple of Kelowna and Jamison Fisher of Silvis. Now, detectives already identified William Ed Smith as a person of interest in 2017. That was after he died.
But investigators believe Whipple and Fisher have knowledge of what happened to Trudy and are possibly involved in her disappearance and the cover-up. Local 4's Eric Sisich joining us live right now at Campbell's Island, the last spot Trudy was spotted, with what we know new tonight. Eric?
Jim, and the two men that investigators have questions for have a checkered past. We did a deep dive into their criminal history. Now, David Whipple is a registered sex offender convicted of sexually abusing a 10-year-old girl in Rock Island County. Jamison, or Jamie Fisher, pleaded guilty to felony drug charges in 2011 and has multiple orders of protection against him. Detective Mike Griffin of the Moline Police Department says he's hoping to track them down. We also asked him whether he believes Trudy is dead or alive tonight.
I think the evidence would suggest that Trudy Appleby died on August 21st, 1996. Her family knows that. Obviously, it would be a great blessing and godsend if she were still alive and we were able to reunite her in whole with her family, but we don't believe that that's a likely possibility. We're continuing to work towards a resolution where we recover Trudy, give Trudy the proper burial that she deserves, her family the closure that hopefully it gives them, and hold those that are criminally accountable.
Detective Griffin says there hasn't been a week that's gone by that a lead hasn't come in, and that the community has been extremely engaged through these entire couple decades. Now, if you have any information about Whipple or Fisher, we'll tell you who you can contact. It's on ourquadcities.com. Live in Hampton, Eric Zizich, Local 4 News.
About seeing Trudy with Ed Smith. Maybe Whipple was with Trudy and he's trying to blame it on Smith.
Right.
But one of the two of them, or both of them, had Trudy on Campbell's Island. And then Trudy's gone.
So they definitely had her on Campbell's Island.
Yeah. Now that's all circumstantial because until they can prove that they did anything, until they have a body, until they have evidence, it's all hearsay that they had something to do with it. But they were obviously the last ones to see her alive. And then she's gone. So where'd she go? Ed Smith was known to be like a matriarch of the family. He was the head of this clan of evilness, that the circle that they ran in.
Mm-hmm. Kind of the leader.
Nobody talked bad about him. You didn't backtalk Ed because it'd come back on you. Now he's dead. He's been dead for what, 6 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
But those people still won't talk. What the hell kind of hold did he have on somebody that, and still from the grave, they won't tell what they know about this case?
The day that she disappeared, remind me.
I would have been 22. Dennis called my mom and dad's house. I still lived at home. And we had a campground membership. And Brenda's husband took his vacation, and Brenda and her husband went camping, and my mom went with, and they were out at the campground. And my dad was on the road, and I was getting ready for work. Phone rings, and it's Dennis Appleby. He's looking for Trudy. He's assuming that because we go out to the campground all the time, that my grandma or my mom and or picked up Trudy and they went out to the campground. I said, no, I don't think so. Not that I know of. What you know, he's telling me about how she's been gone since last night. And, he come home from work last night and I said, what? I said, I'll go out to the campground and go get him. You know, we're talking about before cell phones and all this.
Sure.
So I drove out to the campground and got Mom and Brenda, and they came home. Yeah. That's
What?
just.
Go ahead.
You know, some things you never forget, and I'll never forget that phone call.
Now, we have suspects and persons of interest, but they're getting older, people are passing away, and we're running out of time to get answers. I'm just hoping that someday soon, the family will get closure and can bring Trudy home and get proper justice.